TAGNBRAG Nation and Goose Chasers, what is up? Welcome to episode 99. Episode 99 of Goose Chasing. And we just finished up Scrape Week. Scrape Week was brought to you by, and as is this episode, brought to you by Code Blue, field tested, proven effective, industry leading hunting sense and scent elimination. And my goodness, did the Code Blue products work to perfection during Scrape Week. Some of our favorite products from Code Blue are the preorbital gland that goes up on the licking branches, the scrape mate that goes in the scrapes, kind of tells the local bucks that there's a new sheriff in town and that he probably should get up more often and check his scrape because he's going to have some competition here in the coming days. And that worked to perfection in Kansas during Scrape Week. Also love the doe and estrus, and coming into November and into the rut, that is what you guys are going to be wanting to use. The rope-a-dope. There's so many different products, scent elimination products through Code Blue. You can go to codebluescents.com, use code TAGNBRAG for 20% off anything on the site. Anything on the site, 20% off anything on the site. So if I spend $100, I'm only paying $80. That's a deal. It's like making money. Head over to codebluescents.com and get yours today. Now, as I said, this is episode 99 of Goose Chasing, and we're coming at you from a little undisclosed location here today. I don't have the exact audio equipment I love, but we're going to do this bad boy anyway because I am on one right now. I am on one after finishing up the post-production on Scrape Week in Kansas. And if y'all have been following along, Kansas was an absolute grind. It was a grind from the standpoint that the weather just literally didn't quit. Precipitation didn't quit. The wind didn't quit. We had days that literally were like 0 to 15% chance precipitation that literally rained all day long. Makes it hard to hunt, and it definitely makes it hard to film and document it all. But the grind continued, and we were able to prevail. We actually, if you are listening to this on Thursday, on or before Thursday, prior to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, this is going to be a little bit of a disclaimer, I would say, or giving some stuff away, but we are launching the final episode of Scrape Week tonight, the grand finale in Kansas. Uncle Jay got it done, and we utilized the doe and estrus and a little rattling sequence to coax this buck into bow range, got him into literally like 16 yards. Uncle Jay made a perfect shot. The rest is history. We'll talk about that throughout this episode. But I'm so proud of the fact that we just kept going. I think as hard as it was and as difficult as the weather was to take, not only from a physical standpoint, because you're sitting there in the rain, all your stuff's getting wet, but it was a mental grind as well. Like getting up every morning and going out into the rain, and like you got the wind, and you're so much of your own senses are kind of taken out of the mix as a hunter during that whole time period. And you're on a 6 to 7 day hunt, right? So the hunt is coming to an end. It's not like you have all season out there where you can give up a day or two of hunting in order to wait for like that perfect quote unquote day and the perfect weather conditions to get in there and hunt. No, like if you're trying to maximize your time and you're trying to maximize the money, the time away from family, the travel, and all of that spent as an investment on a trip like this, like there's no excuses. You know, the deer are out there all the time. You got to be out there. So that's honestly what I'm most proud of. And I think when it came down to it, when we were finally able to get it done on literally the last day of the hunt, it made that moment even more special, knowing that we didn't leave anything on the table earlier in the trip. We didn't take off any hunts. We didn't make any excuses for ourselves. We weren't feeling bad about anything. I mean, certainly, there was times where we'd come back to camp and everybody would vent a little bit and get it out of their system, and then we would get into the kitchen, make dinner. We had, 4 to 6 people eating dinner around the table, telling stories and having a good time every single night at camp. That was an ultimate win. I mean, any hunt camp that can be enjoyed like that is an ultimate win. And so I'm proud of the fact that we just kept on grinding, and it worked out. And we came home with a huge Kansas whitetail. What you go to Kansas for, especially us growing up in Western New York, we weren't accustomed to the bucks that you readily see in Kansas, the bucks that are kind of at your fingertips in Kansas and some other parts of the Midwest, and we envied the guys on TV and the people that we watched and the people that we looked up to in the hunting industry that went out to Kansas every year. And we were just enamored by the deer hunting, the amount of deer, the amount of quality deer, the effectiveness of calling. All of that was not anything that we were used to growing up. So Kansas has been a bucket list of ours for our entire life. And 3 years ago, we got the first chance to go out there. Dean and I have gone out for the past 2 years, and this year being the third year, Uncle Jay drew a tag and came out with us. And once again, it's one of his bucket list hunts as well. But just kind of walking through that hunt and the last day, we wake up, it is literally raining sideways. That was the one hunt that we took off the last morning because there was a gale warning. It was 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts, and it was literally raining sideways. You couldn't see 50 yards in front of you because of the rain and the wind. So deeming it a little bit unsafe, rather, to get in a tree stand, we actually took that morning off. We waited till mid-morning. We went and basically tore everything down, collected all of our Moultries, tore down any of the XOPs that we had that were still up that we weren't going to hunt that night, and we basically committed to 2 final spots for that evening. And one of the spots, if you guys were following along, I think on I want to say the 26th, Dean and I went on a little hang and bang mission on a new piece of property that we'd never hunted before. But we were getting some really good deer on trail camera. We went in there this first day that we were there, scouted around a little bit, found a really big community scrape, like really big, right on the edge of like this CRP field and this little wood lot. And right next to it, there was a fence crossing. So you could tell the deer were coming across this fence in and out of the CRP, and like as soon as they were coming across the fence or right before they jumped it going into the woodlot, they were communicating on this scrape. I mean, it was huge, pawed out, vine hanging over it, perfect trail camera spot, perfect spot to throw some scrape bait in this scrape. Let the bucks know, the local bucks at least, that there's a new sheriff in town, and it worked to perfection. We literally had a shooter on camera the first night, and then there was different bucks on this camera every single night. It was such a good little funnel and transition travel zone. And so we were getting different shooters on this camera every single night. And we didn't really know how to hunt it, didn't really know how to go about it. It kind of felt like our access was going to be tough no matter which way we came in from, because it was like right in the middle of everything, like CRP bedding, woodlot bedding. You kind of had to walk up this fence line in between the two, but it just felt like walking up this fence line, no matter which way the wind was blowing or what, like you were going to be spooking deer in or out. But it actually turned out to be a spot that you just had to like grin and bear that portion of it and just go get in. Like go get in the stand, sit down, and you could have literally hunted that spot all day long. On really any day we were there, we had different bucks checking the scrape, and we had another trail camera in the woodlot a little bit farther, just on a trail. And we had different bucks on camera all throughout, like all hours of the day, all hours of the night. This was just a highway travel area, and Dean and I went in on a hang and bang mission because there was not really a ton going on some of our other cameras, mainly because of the weather, to be honest with you. And we hung this spot, got in it. It's super tight, like smaller tree, but super tight. Like you had to pick and choose your lane shooting. You had to thread the needle out into the CRP or into the woodlot, no matter which way you went. We trimmed a few little lanes, but once again, we didn't want to make a ton of noise going in there and hanging these stands because we knew there could be bucks, there could be deer laying very, very close. So we get this stand hung. I think Dean and I saw, 12 to 14 deer that night that we hung the stand. And it was a little tough getting out. We got blown at a few times getting out of there. So it was like one of those spots where it was like, if you go in there, you felt like you had to go in there and kill. Like that's what you felt like. It was like, I got to get in here and kill. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to get this done and go in and out multiple times without blowing out the whole area and spooking deer. So we gave it a day to rest, had a couple hunts. Uncle Jay actually had, on the 27th, he had a buck in a different spot. I was filming him, and a shooter come in, give us an opportunity at like 45 yards at the edge of a field. Wind ended up whirling. He busted us before we could get drawn and get a shot, and that was the end of that hunt. So it was like every day we felt like we were inching closer and closer, but then the weather was kicking us in the balls, and then we would get opportunities, and we were getting kicked down, we were getting beat down in the opportunities as well. So the mental, like, just wear and tear on this week was so tough. And I'm not trying to like make excuses or make a sob story about any of this. Like, we're deer hunting, at the end of the day, like, we're deer hunting. We're not saving anybody. We're not doing heart surgery. We're not police officers, firefighters, first responders, nurses. We're not doing any of that. So like, I'm not complaining about any of this. It's just once again, when you're out there, you're on a trip, it's a timed trip. You only have so many days to hunt. You're pressing on as hard as you can to give yourself an opportunity, and the weather and Mother Nature and all that stuff is pressing back on you. Like, it was a mental grind. Excuse me. Anyway, Uncle Jay goes into the same spot that Dean and I did a hang and bang mission on, I think the second last morning. Once again, raining, windy. He's in there, and he had a giant sneak up right behind him. Deer we had never seen before, never had on trail camera before. Sneak up right behind him. Kind of busted him, turning around, trying to get the camera situated and stuff. And so once again, it was like, oh my gosh, wind out of your sails. Another opportunity that felt like it slipped through our fingertips because I mean, it just, for no other reason than that's the way that the cookie crumbled. And so we kept grinding. The final evening, didn't go into that spot. Uncle Jay and I went into the spot where he had the first opportunity at, thinking that maybe, the stars would align and we could get this done again. And lo and behold, we saw a really good buck in there. But man, it was the start of the gale force winds, and it was so windy and raining. It was honestly probably the worst weather that we had of the trip, and that's relatively speaking, considering what we went through. But that was it. Like, we got through it. We had one last day to hunt. The weather wasn't looking good. We didn't have like high hopes for that last day. But we were going into it, optimistic, trying to figure out spots. Where are we going to go? And Dean wanted to be in this alfalfa field, which is really a solo spot. And Uncle Jay really wanted to be back in the hang and bang tree that Dean and I hung on one of the second or third day of the hunt. And because he saw that giant in there, and we had a couple other really nice deer on trail camera, it seemed to make sense. If we were going to go all in, it seemed to make the most sense on going all in right there. The wind was not good for the spot, though. It was good for walking in. The wind was in our face walking in, but once you got into the stand, like, the wind was kind of cutting like right at the scrape or just to the right of the scrape. And it just felt like if anything was walking up the edge, kind of in our blind spot, that we could easily get busted. And I don't know. When you're sitting in a stand almost with the wind at like your back, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. And you don't feel like you're giving yourself much of an opportunity. At the same time, the trail cameras were telling us this is the spot that we needed to be. So during the gale force winds, there was actually 2 different shooters in daylight by our stand. And that kind of enticed us to say, we got to go in there. Like, there's just no other, we just got to go in there and chance it. You know, if we get busted based on the wind, we get busted. But this was going to give us the best chance to get in front of a shooter, we felt like, in Kansas, and end scrape week with a bang. So that's what we did. Uncle Jay, since we didn't hunt in the morning, Uncle Jay's like, hey, let's get ready by noon, 12:30. Let's get in there for an extended sit. And we did that. We got in, little wind, little rain as we were going in there. But the nice thing was, we're watching the radar throughout the day, and what was supposed to last all day long seemed to be like tapering earlier and earlier into the afternoon. And so we timed it up literally perfectly. We got in there, we got set up, it was super windy, it was raining a little bit. By the time we got set up, the rain stopped, and throughout the afternoon, the wind just kind of kept slowly but surely calming down. And we hadn't seen a deer. We're on pins and needles the entire time. I actually had to go in, or we had to go in. I hung a stand above them because Dean and I ripped the camera stand out the night that we were in there. So I hung a stand above them. We got in there with the wind cover, all good. And on our way in, just because the wind was not necessarily in our favor, Uncle Jay is putting doe and estrus, code blue doe and estrus, all over our boots. And we're trailing this stuff all the way into the stand. And then he takes one of those little wicks and he douses it with doe and estrus, and he puts it like, I don't know, maybe like 15 yards down into the woodlot from us, where if the deer were coming from directly in front of us, that doe and estrus was going to kind of trickle in their direction. And hopefully it would mask our scent enough, or they'd be enticed enough to where it would bring them in. Well, sure enough, I don't know, it was probably 4:15, 4:30, and he looks up at me and he's like, I think I'm going to hit the horns together. And I'm like, dude, don't think about it. Be about it. We hadn't seen the deer yet. It was the last night. We had nothing to lose. Like, there could be anything laying close in here. We, for as much as we know, the bucks that were in there in the morning, they had to be somewhere close, laying down, at least we thought. So, does a couple grunts, gets on the rattle bag, and he is hammering the rattle bag together, like, pretty aggressively. Probably for 3+ minutes. I mean, just going to town on this rattle bag, like, whoever's in here, wake up. There's 2 bucks fighting in your turf. You need to come check it out, figure it out. And I'm not going to lie, I mean, it sounded good. We were kind of giggling when it was all said and done. But after that, you've got to be on red alert, because now the hunted becomes the hunter. And anything that's coming in, or anything that would be coming into us, would be basically seeking that noise. And so their antennas are up. Their senses are heightened. And they're going to come in looking. They're going to come in listening. They're going to come in most likely downwind, and we're going to have to beat all that in order to get an opportunity. So 5 minutes goes by. We're just chilling there. 6, 7, 8 minutes goes by. Nothing. About 10 minutes goes by, and I feel I feel Uncle Jay grab my leg like hard because he's below me, and he's like, "Buck, buck, buck," and I could just feel in his energy that it was a good one. This buck is coming in directly downwind of the little doe and estrus wick that we had put out. I don't know where exactly he came from, but he was definitely in the little woodlot area, in the bedding area, when we walked in. I mean, who knows how close we were to him when we walked in there. And he was right. I mean, he had to be right on the edge of our scent cone, basically. But he was coming in and he was searching for whatever was making that noise. So he came in methodical, slow. He's taking one step at a time. He's licking his nose. He's literally looking in every different direction right before he steps. Mind you, it's so thick in there. The first time that Uncle Jay sees him, he's at like 35 yards. So he's already in bow range. But it's so thick, there was no way you could get a shot where he was. So he comes up and he gets on the path that the deer hop the fence and get on. Now he's at like 20 yards. I mean, he is right there. My heart's thumping. At this point, he's right there. He's facing us. And no matter if he goes right or left or straight, I'm like, Uncle Jay's getting a shot. At this point, he is getting a shot. My heart's thumping. His heart had to be thumping. The deer takes his right, our left, and he gets right close to an opening. Uncle Jay draws, and I'm just sitting there waiting, because from my angle, he's kind of behind the trees just a little bit. He takes like a half step, 3/4 step out. You could see in the second angle of the footage, Uncle Jay looks at me like, am I on him or whatever? And I'm freehanding the camera because it was just one of those spots where a tree arm didn't make sense. Like, these deer could come from any different direction. I wanted the flexibility of being able to grab the camera and get on them as soon as possible. And so I'm just locked on the deer, locked on the viewfinder, locked on the screen, and locked into the moment, not moving. Didn't even see Uncle Jay look up at me. And all of a sudden, bow goes off. I could tell, double lung, the deer takes off, and I mean, we came unglued. Literally came unglued. And it's hard not to in those moments anyway. You know, at least I wear my heart on my sleeve, and as a family, naturally we do. Dean's probably the calmest one out of the group, but just the way that the week went and how hard we fought and what we endured to get to that point. And all of a sudden, you went from seeing no deer on the last night to one literally in bow range at the flip of a switch. And then not only in bow range, but he walks into 16 yards. He's literally 5 feet from the doe and estrus wick, just like sticking his nose straight out. I mean, he came right into that. Perfect shot. We see the deer run off, don't see him go down, but at that point we knew it was history. And to end off scrape week that way was unbelievable. And this hunt is now on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to watch it. Well, if you haven't watched it, or if you're listening to this before Thursday, November 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern time, this will be a little bit premature, but anything after that, you can go watch this hunt on our YouTube channel. I would highly suggest you watch the entire week and just be able to embrace the grind with us. You'll appreciate it so much more. You'll see the moves that we made with the Moultries and how we utilized the code blue throughout the week. Not just the scents, but the cover scents and the scent elimination products as well. And how we utilized all that to our advantage to get to this point. We came unglued in that moment. I mean, it's hard not to. It's hard to describe that feeling after such a hard-fought week. and you just never know when your time is going to be. This time of year, you know, what I say is like, you got an hour, go sit in the tree. You got 2 hours, go sit in the tree. You got a full day, go sit in the tree. If you want to be successful and you want to kill a good buck, this time of year, whenever you have the time, it could be a half hour, 30 minutes, half hour, 30 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, could be 3 hours, whatever time you have, just go. Don't think about it, just go. Don't make excuses for yourself, just go. Because you never, ever, ever know when your time is. And that's all I can say for this hunt. You know, was it the perfect day weather-wise to be out there? Probably not. Was it, I mean, was the wind out of our sails at this point? Absolutely. Like, were we mentally and physically drained and kind of ready to just pack it up and go home? Kinda. But also, it's Kansas, and you've got to give it, you've got to fight till whatever your finish is. Fight till whatever your finish is. And that's not just hunting, that is anything in life. You have no idea when you are right on the other side of success. And you could push farther and farther. It's funny, I saw this meme the other day, and it was two guys, and they're basically chiseling through the dirt. They're underground. You can see above ground, and then it's like a cut in half view of like the earth basically. And you can see above ground, and you can see these two guys underground, and there's two diamonds, and they're both digging to it. And the one guy's like halfway there, and he's still digging. And the other guy is literally like a couple digs away from the diamond, but he's walking back out the hole. And so it's funny imagery of like, you just have no idea when you are right on the other side of success. So pushing forward until you get it is so important. It's so important, and you just never give up. And when you have that mentality, you're going to get there. You're going to experience it. And it may not be on, it's probably not going to be on your time. It's going to be on his time. And that's okay too. But as much as we want things to come easy, and as much as we want things to like happen, especially in the hunting world, you've got a script in your head of how a hunt should go, or how a week should go, or how your whole season should go. And it never happens like that. Because we can't control nature, we can't control the weather, we can't control the animals. The only thing we can control is being there, present, with a good attitude, and with a relentless mentality that you're not going to give up until you get your shot. So it's so important this time of year to, when you have the time, I don't care how long it is. We just got a message. I preach this. I'm sitting in Ohio this entire week, and I'm preaching on our Instagram story. I'm like, I'm saying the same thing. You've got to be in the woods anytime you've got. You've got to be in the woods anytime you got. You got an hour, you got 2 hours, you got a day, you got a week, whatever. Dedicate the time this time of year and let the rest take care of itself. We got 2 messages already on Instagram just from this week. And you don't know who you can touch when you're talking through all this stuff. But we got 2 messages already this week. One from a 62-year-old guy. And he said, guys, you are so inspiring. I listened to you. I had 1 hour to go hunt on my birthday. And he shot a beautiful Ohio 10 point. Beautiful Ohio 10 point. He had 1 hour to go hunt on his birthday. And he was gifted. He was gifted a buck, a tag, filled. How sick is that? Another kid messaged us and said, you guys are so inspiring to me. I've been listening to you, watching you on your stories. And I went out there. He had never shot a deer before, and with his bow. And he went out there. I think he had a couple hours to go hunt. He went out there, didn't even get into a tree stand, and ran into a buck on his way into the stand, got a shot off on him. And it's actually, he messaged us this morning. That hunt is to be continued, because he was actually then asking questions about tracking and what he should do and all this stuff. So he's probably literally tracking as we speak. So those are just two different occasions of people that reached out to us that just were like, man, arguably they're basically saying I wouldn't have gone, but because you were like, hey, whenever you have the time, just go. I went, and they put themselves in opportunities this time of year is it. We are done with scrape week. We are moving into rut week. That doesn't mean that these code blue scents aren't going to still be effective. That doesn't mean that calling still isn't going to be effective. The biggest tool that you can have right now is time on stand. Bar none. Get in there, hunker down, pack a sandwich, pack 3, doesn't matter, and sit and enjoy it. Enjoy it. Because you know what? In February or March, you're going to be sitting on the couch, you're going to be watching, I don't know, the Olympics. They're not even on this year, but you're just going to be watching the Olympics for the heck of it, for the sake of the story. And you're going to be wishing that you could be back in the end of October or early November or the mid-November and sitting in a stand and freezing your ass off and putting in long hours. You're going to be wishing that you could. So right now, when you can, don't make excuses for yourself. Go do it. This is the time of year and the moments that we wait for as hunters, as whitetail hunters, all year long. Why are we going to give it up? Why are we going to let it pass by? Why are we going to make excuses for ourselves? It's raining. It's windy. The pressure's not high. It's too warm outside. All of this stuff. Why are we going to make those excuses? Why? The deer are out there all the time. They're doing it. You think that the warm weather is going to affect the rut? You think that the wind and the rain is going to affect if a doe's hot, that a buck's not going to be chasing her? And if that doe's hot in your area, don't you want that buck chasing her where you're at? Just go get in a tree, sit down, no matter the conditions, for whatever time you have, and thoroughly enjoy nature, God's creation, the hunt that you have at your fingertips, and let everything else go. Be in the moment, soak it all in, and be present, because when your time comes, you're going to want to be the most present version of yourself that you could be, because you need it in that moment of truth. And the woods is going to break open in the flip of a switch. And that buck that you've been waiting for all year is going to be sitting at 20 yards or 30 yards or 40 yards in bow range at the flip of a switch. And you're going to have to be locked in and make that decision and make a precise and ethical shot in the moment as you flip that switch. Gosh, I love this time of year, everyone. Good luck out there. Let us know how you do. Don't forget, go check out this Kansas hunt on our YouTube channel and all the Kansas hunts for that matter. Rut Week will be starting this upcoming week, and episode 100 will air next Wednesday. Goose Chasing. I absolutely love y'all. Thank you for listening once again. I appreciate you guys. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on Spotify, and we will see you right back here next Wednesday with the whole group up in camp for Rut Week on the next episode, the 100th episode of Goose Chasing. Happy hunting, everyone. I love you all. Peace.